Is Union Minister for Petroleum and Urban Development, Hardeep Singh Puri, is joining me live from Hungary. Mr. Puri, I appreciate your time. Give us a sense of how challenging this entire evacuation exercise is, sir.
Yeah, let me first give you the picture as I see it on the Hungarian side. Military operations began in Ukraine on the 24th. Starting a day later on the 26th, from the 26th of February till yesterday, 1st March, we had got out 1,137 students as of yesterday. Today, 800 more students are being evacuated. Most have already gone. One flight is about to take off. I've just come back from the airport, and we have another flight in 2 hours' time. So 2,000 students out from here. We still have flights planned for tomorrow and day after. The issue is that how many of our students do we still have left in Ukraine? I think the Ministry of External Affairs' control room will give you a better idea. But I think before the operations began, we had about 20,000 there. I think we've got about 17,000, 18,000 out already. I think 6,000 had already left before the operations began. Now I think about 17,000, 18,000. So, and if you count the number of people at the Romanian border, at the Polish border, waiting to enter those countries, at the Hungarian border coming here, we still have, after sending off 800 students today, we will still have another 800, I think, either already here or coming in from the border. So this operation should take, in terms of time, another 2-3 days. But what is most important is we must get our children who are in Kharkiv and places like that.
Yes.
Now, advisories have been issued. I hope they're all following those. And it's a race against time, because I think there's ceasefire on to get them into safer places. And once that is done, they come to these other borders. The rest is a question of time. Of course, logistical arrangements, making arrangements for their stay, food, all that is well under control.
Yes. Mr. Puri, you are in Hungary. While we understand that any arrangement can be made by the government only if these students reach these countries, what about those who are stuck in Kyiv or in Kharkiv? Kharkiv. The challenge is how is the government making those arrangements for them to be transported out of these cities?
Those arrangements, look, Mariaji, first of all, the important thing is for us to be in touch with them. I can tell you with reasonable confidence that we are in touch with all of them, because our numbers are in the public domain. Our people who are in Kharkiv, I'm getting messages from India on my phone. I'm passing them on to the control room. We are in touch with everyone. I'm only hoping that there are no stray cases where people went off on their own. Where we are in touch with them, we are in touch with the authorities. You are having to negotiate. I mean, it's a not normal condition. It's a war situation. And I think we are on top of the situation. We have been advised, we have issued an advisory that they should reach 3 designated spots by 7 o'clock local time today. And we are also, I think, ensuring that they do that. Once they're there, arrangements are being made through a number of agencies. But we must have them all in one place. Now, some of them are in designated places known. As I said, I'm only hoping that there are not some people who have decided to embark on the journey and not kept people informed, because that then becomes a problem point.
Sir, you have said that in the next 2 to 3 days is the kind of timeline that you're looking at, and hopefully all Indians would have been evacuated. Give us a sense of how many people, how many students or Indians are there where you are.
Well, where I am, I can give you pretty precise figures, because the situation is changing. As I said, the flight on which I arrived, Maria, last evening, that was the 5th flight. It was an Indigo flight. And the 5th flight left with 222 people on board by about 10 o'clock, about 2 hours after we came, landed, 2.5 hours. This morning at 5:45, another flight went, SpiceJet. Again, same number. I've just come back from the airport where a C-17 of the Indian Air Force had been fully loaded and was beginning to take off. Whilst this plane was being loaded, Indigo flight arrived. So the 5th flight was last night, 6th in the morning, 7th, 8th. The 8th flight should be taking off now, and we have another flight in the evening. So in about 2.5 days, we've sent 2,000 students back to India. Now, I have a reasonably good idea about the number of people who have come in as of 2 hours ago. But there's some people coming still from the border. But arrangements inside Hungary are in hand. I mean, it's heartwarming to see, apart from the arrangements the government has done, the embassy, there are personal volunteers who've left their jobs. You know, they are working 24/7, just in contact with them, making arrangements in hotels for them to stay, sending them Indian food. It's all under control. And as I said, I will never get a precise figure because we earlier had a figure of how many people were there on the Ukrainian side of the Hungarian border. But then word got around that the Hungarian evacuation was moving smoothly, whereas there was a problem in some other areas. So people started shifting from those borders and started coming towards the Hungarian border. So the situation is changing, but they're all under control. The kids are tired, but once we reach them, especially on this side of the border, they're immediately provided refreshments, food, place to stay. So as I said, I hope in the next 2-3 days, we can complete this process and get everybody back home.
And sir, the fact that the manner in which India has responded, the fact that 4 ministers are in the neighboring countries of Ukraine shows certainly the seriousness and the urgency with which this entire exercise is being undertaken. How critical was it for the Prime Minister to send all of you as special envoys to these countries?
Well, you know, this is a determination made by the Prime Minister, but I can tell you, at the end of the day, if you're able to execute a mission successfully, then, you can do an analysis. So far, touch wood, we've lost 2 people, one due to shelling and one due to medical reason, 2 of our youngsters. Now, regrettable, but the effort now is to get everybody. The advantage in having senior level political representation, whether
Yes.
it's a special envoy or a minister, in these cases, the special envoys of the Prime Minister happen to be ministers. The advantage is that you can liaise with the local authorities at a sufficiently senior level. And that if there are any gaps, now for instance, in Hungary, we don't have an ambassador. The ambassador had still to join. So we brought in an officer who was ambassador here till November. Now he's very familiar. I'm also not entirely unfamiliar with Hungary. I mean, there were many years ago, my wife used to be ambassador. Lakshmi was ambassador here.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know the topography. I know how to get around. But the advantage in having, I'm meeting the foreign minister tomorrow morning. You are able to do these things with a special envoy who's at ministerial level. So I personally think it was an excellent idea by the Honorable Prime Minister to do that. I think there is also a messaging involved that the government of India takes this very seriously.
Yes.
And that we, stand up. And by the way, Maria, we are the only country which is doing this. Huh?
Yes.
I have now got cases. We had to have a private airport which is opened after 10 years to deal with the 2,000 Indian students who have been, who have flown out of here. No other country has provided this kind of infrastructure. So that in and of itself is a matter of satisfaction and great pride that, we care for our children no matter where they are and that we are willing to put our best foot forward in order to bring them home.
All right, Hardeep Puri, always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts and all the arrangements that are being made by the government of India there in Hungary. Remember, 4 ministers have traveled to various countries. These are neighboring countries of Ukraine to ensure that they oversee the entire transportation and evacuation exercise that is being undertaken by the government of India.